Hello everyone and welcome. In this video we're going to be reviewing the sci-fi action thriller film Edge of Tomorrow. It was made in 2014 based off the Japanese novel titled All You Need Is Kill, written by Hiroshi Sakurazaka. The film was directed by Mr. Doug Liman, who's had a lackluster career. The film had a budget of $178 million, most of that going to the casting of Tom Cruise. That is a lot of money to spend, but usual for a sci-fi action film of this scale. The film had an impressive box office of around $370.5 million, so they made well back the money they had invested, which shows not only financial success, but success from critics, giving it a 91% rating from Rotten Tomatoes, 7.9 out of 10 from IMDb, as well as 4 out of 5 from Common Sense Media. Many other film critics, as well as general audiences, have given the film high praise as well. We'll talk about what makes the film so good in a bit, but for now we'll talk about the production companies behind the film before moving on to the cast and plot. The film was produced by companies Village Roadshow Pictures, Rat Pack Dune Entertainment, 3 Arts Entertainment, and Viz Productions. The film was distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures. The film stars Tom Cruise as Major William Cage, Emily Blunt as Sergeant Rita Vertasky, Bill Paxton as Master Sergeant Farrell, as well as many others. I do apologize for not naming a lot more actors or the entire cast of the film, mainly because the film focuses on just these 2 characters, really. I know I've listed 3, but it mainly focuses on those 2 characters. Each and every other person in the film has very small to mid-scale parts where there's either little to no dialogue. Now, before going on any further, just know I make my best effort to kind of look at you guys or look at the camera while talking. I have my notes on my computer to my right, but I have so many other things to do besides making this video that it makes it difficult to study an entire script so that I can have a fluid connectivity with you guys like this. So, I'm going to be doing a little bit of both. I hope that's okay. Now, moving on to a summarized plot of the film before going on to other aspects like writing, pacing, cinematography, editing, and costume, effects, and whatnot. So moving on to the plot, the film is about an alien invasion that conquers most of Europe and has forced all nations of the planet to each join together in this battle. A battle, however, the Earthlings are losing, which causes them to enlist almost everyone. Major William Cage is a public affairs officer that deals mainly in advertising, though he is ordered to advertise the war with a camera crew on the front lines. He's untrained in combat and refuses to go, which leads to his arrest and is forced to the front lines. His penalty, or perhaps the planned event all along, is for him to now fight in combat against the aliens in the front lines. His combat on the battlefield, as you can imagine, is quite amusingly pathetic, but not without merit, since he does happen to kill one of the aliens and gets covered in its blood in the process. This blood hosts the aliens' ability to predict future events and what gives them a combating advantage over the life forms they conquer. The ability causes Cage to relive the day of deployment forever. He uses this new ability to find a new way to end the war. Now, I hope I summarized the plot in a way that doesn't give too much of the film away, though it will be a bit of a spoiler review. I'll give you a warning right before I go into any spoiler events. The film has been out for a few years, if I'm not mistaken, 8 years since the recording of this video. But if you want an overall review before any spoilers moving on from here on, it's good. Definitely worth a watch, very entertaining. So moving on to the writing, it's decent, nothing crazy, no wild twists or turns or anything like that. All the dialogue between the characters is natural, it makes sense from hearing one soldier talk to another, one scientist talk to a soldier. It's all very fluid. Overall, just very decent. Personally, I wish they would have worked harder on any comedic aspects of the film. For instance, there could have been a montage of the hilarious ways Tom Cruise's character, Sergeant Cage, could have done to avoid being enlisted. As we know, he doesn't want to be enlisted. He went into the military for advertising for that sole purpose. He doesn't want a combatant role. He just wants to be an advertiser and work in the field like that. So they could have done a ton of stuff. For instance, they could have had like a montage of the hilarious ways that he could have tried running away more, sneaking, hiding, putting on costumes. He could have faked an illness. He could have said he was gay, which to me would have been a lot more funny considering this is an all-out alien war of attrition where something so frivolous like that would have no merit in canceling you out of wartime. So there would have been a ton of things they could have worked on. That doesn't go against the film in any negative way, just a missed opportunity is all I'm saying. So moving on to the pacing, it's pretty good. A lot of films can be boring or have long drawn out parts. Not saying this film is free of any of those, but for the most part, it's overall really decent pacing, especially the first time you watch it. And in the first section of the film where you're seeing him be deployed in a battle for the first time, you're definitely really into what's happening. You're not bored in any way. You really feel like you're with him on the battlefield as a baby bird out of the nest with no real training. But in the middle parts and near the end, it does start to slow down. There are a few scenes that I think are pointless where they try to kind of put in certain characters or elements or like characteristics of certain actors to make them like kind of fall in love or act like they have a relationship when it's just not there. It seems forced and weak. We get the scene where they, I guess spoiler, like I'm not really too good at that. I just like talking about movies, especially if they're old. You're just going to hear me talk about them, okay? We get this scene where they avoid the battlefield and they go to a trailer park area where they repeat many times and try to find a helicopter to fly out of there. But it just drags on. There's no substantial dialogue. There's nothing like that that has any like meaning. It's not bad in any way. It's just a part that drags on in the film. They try to establish a relationship, as mentioned earlier, between Tom Cruise's character and Miss Blunt's character, which I just find forced. Moving on to the cinematography, this is where it shines a lot more than some of the other aspects of the film. We get a lot of beautiful shots of, I guess, the location, the scenery that they're in, as well as really cool battle shots. Either like an aerial shot of the battlefield we're watching them fight in, we're seeing them like immense grouping, immense coalition and gathering of all the nations that want to work together to defeat these aliens. So it really kind of emphasizes the, I guess, the intensity or severity of this situation. You have these aliens killing everyone on Earth and everyone needs to join in together. I'm a bit torn on where I give credit to. The film's cinematography is helmed by Dion Beebe. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name right. He's had a long and interesting career as a cinematographer. He's been involved in other films that I've enjoyed, like Equilibrium, Collateral, another film with Tom Cruise, and Land of the Lost, a comedy film. And like I said, I'm torn on whether or not to give credit to Dion, considering a lot of these films shot that I've just listed that are beautiful, like all the shots of scenery, the battlefield or whatever. I don't know how much of that has aspects of special effects or CGI added to it. Now, you let me know in the comments if beautiful landscape shots, even though they're probably special effects or CGI, are they considered cinematography or more so special effects? Which is one of the reasons why I'm torn on giving him all this credit. And you just let me know. I think it's a little bit of both. Who's to say it can't be? Overall, I just really like the shots. Good stuff. Moving on. Editing, just decent stuff. Nothing wild, no crazy or creative transitions or dynamic movements that would have pulled you in. Just average stuff. Good. All right, moving on to special effects. Again, this, like cinematography, is what really shines in the film. It's a sci-fi thriller film, so obviously you can expect to see hints of special effects, CGI, all that stuff, green screens and blue screens and all that. But overall, really good stuff. All these scenes highlight the film and would keep the viewer interested. There's this YouTube channel I kind of noticed while researching this film called Film Is Now. Kind of has like movie bloopers and extras that does a really good video of kind of letting you know how they animated all these alien effects, explosions, and battlefield scenes and whatnot. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link in the description below. Just pretty good stuff. Moving on to the costumes, I like the military uniforms and everyday wear more than the battle suits or exoskeletons that they wear. It's somewhat of a logical choice given the agility and strength of their alien opponent to use these exoskeleton suits. An average human would have no chance of fighting these aliens in a combating environment. Even though I don't think it's awesome, it's not my cup of tea, it's still pretty cool. It's an impressive feat of the makeup and costume department and goes good on them. Now moving on to the acting in this film, it's okay. Nothing great. I enjoy the acting from Tom Cruise since he plays the main character, the man not suited for training and combat. I think that's kind of funny. Emily Blunt does a good job of a no-nonsense military officer who's the only one until Cage who knows about these powers and the invasion. There's a third-party scientist who assists them, but we don't get much backstory on him. Not that I care too much about his character, but I feel like it's a missed opportunity to have them introduced in a cool or interesting way. Remember, most people don't believe these soldiers when they tell them about the alien attack and the powers and abilities they get when they kill these aliens, and so they just get ignored. But this scientist does believe them and works with them, so it'd be cool to see a little bit of why he does that, but of course, it doesn't negatively affect the film in any way, just, again, a missed opportunity. Overall, good acting from everyone in this film. So I covered most aspects of the film, moving on to an overall review. It's a pretty good movie. Just an entertaining shoot-'em-up, awesome explosions, kick-ass fight scenes, sci-fi action thriller horror film. You're gonna have fun with this one, kids. Thanks again for watching. You guys are the best. I'll see you in the next one.